Yo, this is gonna be a video where I go through all the bosses in Firelands and kinda explain what I do, why I do it. It's not gonna be like a pure boss strategy guide, so it's only gonna be from the Holy Paladin POV. Might be some overlaps with other healer POVs and some small things that everyone is doing, but it's basically just gonna show every boss one by one and just talk over it. I won't really have a script, so I might miss things, or I might even say some incorrect things, but I will make sure to write that down in the description if anything is incorrect, so I don't spread misinformation. The first thing I should bring up before I even start with the bosses is that the talents I have gone a bit different with the talents. I've seen some questions in my Discord, and I don't want to answer them in case it influences the race somehow. But yeah, the talents have changed. Before you could go Pursue Justice, and you also went Bless Life, and you also went without Tower Radiance fully kitted out. But with how the healing profile looks like in Firelands, where you're casting less and less Holy Radiance, and you are more and more of a single target healer, if it's the tanks or that the damage that's going out on the raid is very, it's not AoE healable. So the change here has been made, so I go for Eternal Glory. Even though this one has a 20-second internal cooldown, it's still something that will give you value for those 2 points. As a comparison, you could drop Eternal Glory and go for Blessed Life, but Blessed Life is actually really bad in Firelands. I think last time I checked it was only Beth'tilac where you get any kind of value, like from the constant AoE damage, while the other bosses you only get it very rarely when you take avoidable damage, I should say. But yeah, you drop Pursuit of Justice, so you need to make sure that you replace your boot enchant with a Lava Walker, so you get the minor speed still. I used to use the haste one before. For glyphs, I think this is what I've been using in tier 11 as well for a while. You could swap Divine Protection for the Crusader Strike glyph, but here again I noticed that you cast less and less Crusader Strikes, more casted heals like Holy Light or Divine Light, and you also get a lot of value from Divine Protection, since there's barely anything that's physical damage, and the damage you take that's magic damage is really nice to reduce. So Divine Protection definitely gains a lot of value in Firelands compared to tier 11. And I do want to say, like gearing, all of that is all gonna be, like I don't have a mastermind that can figure out gearing, so it's all done through the QE Live sim, so I all recommend to get used to using this one. By the time this video is out, it should be updated with trinkets from Firelands and the gear from Firelands. So this is how you figure out the best gear, instead of feeler crafting or asking me, and I don't know what other gear you have. You might be lacking something that makes it a different kind of priority. What else do I want to say? Yeah, I have the pure biz list is on my Discord. A lot of things is on my Discord, so if you have any questions, you should definitely join the Discord. I'm gonna see here. So in FAQ Kata, for example, first of all, how to get my UI and the weak auras and notes and add-ons. It's all a sub perk for being subbed on my Twitch, so this is how you do it. Biz lists are here, probably gonna be updated by the time the video is uploaded, because the trinkets will be simmed and ready. But yeah, this is where you find everything. And if you have any questions, like gameplay wise, if you have any issues, it's all, you can just ask the questions in my Discord. So yeah, let's get into the bosses. Why not? So I should have Beth'tilac loaded up. So let's see what happens. So yeah, on Beth'tilac, I am healing upstairs, and I have been healing upstairs all our progress on, or our PTR testing. so I don't really have an insight in how you heal downstairs. I know the healing is a lot more random with people taking damage downstairs and you need to heal it, compared to upstairs, where it's always the same amount of damage upstairs with the AoE from the boss. The first thing I should bring up is probably that a lot of people think that you can AM the Ember Flare damage, but sadly the Ember Flare is the only spell in entire Firelands that is not affected by resistance. So that's not something you should AM ever. Then you have Venom Rain is what you should be saving your AM for. But we do Beth'tilac a different way than I've seen people do it. Since you can completely avoid Venom Rain 2 and 3 by having Mage stay up. So the boss doesn't do Venom Rain if someone is attacking him or her. So you are able to keep mages upstairs and never trigger that Venom Rain. But yeah, you can see here, this is a classic Firelands fight where you are not able to really Holy Radiance a lot. So you need to find the best targets and heal them directly with Divine Light, Holy Light most often. But sometimes you can get value from Holy Radiance if you can find that they are actually stacked up, especially melees that are upstairs. So here we have assigned webs to go up. I'm waiting for the tank to call that is gone up. I think there's weak arrows for that as well, so if you had a weak arrow, just wait so you don't go up first, since the boss will just attack you and you might die. So wait for a boss to be up, and yeah, very simple, very straightforward, perhaps not easy, but straightforward healing here, where you take the Ember Flare damage every 6 seconds, and that's the thing you have to heal. The tank should be getting the heals from Beacon, and that should be enough. Other than that, yeah, make use of your Divine Protection. Like Divine Protection does reduce the Ember Flare damage, so it's really nice to use. What I do on Beth'tilac that I don't see a lot of other people doing. Sorry, they're yelling on the mod. Is that instead of going to the middle to go down, I use these fires, because you don't take damage. But the difference between going into this fire compared to middle is that you don't get the webs slowing you down. So I always go into the fire, fall down, and before I land I use my parachute, so I don't take fall damage. But it's a faster way to go down if you just min-maxing a little bit. And yeah, I'm taunting my spinner, my assigned spinner, where I'm going up, waiting. I don't think I'm missing anything. It's like, if you're downstairs, it's gonna be a lot more random damage, as I said. It's gonna be people soaking, taking damage. It's gonna be the tank taking damage, and if anyone has aggro, yeah, obviously they're gonna be taking damage. I think in this video we are using an old strat. Like if you're watching my Twitch stream for the race, we are actually facing Beth'tilac away from the upstairs phase a lot faster, since we are bringing up an ad that gives her energy, or drains her energy, I guess. So this is actually harder than it will be for me on launch, since we're spending less time upstairs. Yeah, avoid the meteors, try to find people you can hold the radiance, but usually don't count on it, because people are spreading out for the meteors, and they naturally spread out from all the fires around the boss. So now I go down, go into a fire. I think this was... okay, I got stuck somehow. I think that's a PTR bug. Let's see. So, oh yeah, I shouldn't skip. So we start phase 2. Phase 2 is the most healing intensive, of course, but it's also the one where you assign every defensive CD. So phase 2 shouldn't be an issue. The aim sets are actually so crazy here. Like you see, whenever an aim set is dropped before an Ember Flare, we don't take damage. It's a really strong CD, and the more DKs you have, the more MCs you have, the easier you make this fight, or this part of the fight for healers. I have the MRT note is obviously gonna be public, and it's been spaced out for our kill times, so it might be wrong for some people, might be correct for other guilds. With the way we're doing phase 1, it might be correct for most guilds, since we do a faster phase 1 but a longer phase 2, which if you are not our guild, you might get about the same kill time in phase 2, so the CDs will be good. They will obviously change with your kill time as the tier goes on. I will be sure to update the notes for what we do. But yeah, AMs, this is an old note. AMs don't work, so they shouldn't be in the note. So you basically use aim sets or defensive, use Spirit Link, Divine Hymn. If you have a Resolute, it would be 3 of life and Trank. But that was that boss. Don't think there's anything to think of here. Like it's only raid damage. Yes, same as always. Try to use your Divine Protection on CD basically here, just reducing the damage taken. Spam Holy Radiance when people are not full health. Yeah, so the next boss is Rhyolith, or at least this is the order we do them in. So Rhyolith is a boss that's everyone is spread out, so again Holy Radiance will have very low value until the last phase, of course. So a lot of healing here is like finding perhaps the melee to Holy Radiance, finding the caster stack that might be stacked up a bit, but most of it you can also just do Holy Light, Divine Light, like a Hunter for example. You should never Holy Radiance a Hunter. This is just a pure raid leader or / driver boss, where how good of a job they do with killing these volcanoes makes the healing night and day. Like we have had boss like kills of this boss where you're struggling so hard to keep everyone alive because everyone has more than 10 stacks of the volcanoes because you have multiple up at the same time, and sometimes you don't have 10 stacks ever at any point in the fight, and the damage you take from the volcanoes is the eruption. Sometimes you have 10 million damage from eruption, sometimes you have 4 million damage from eruption. It's all about the stacks on the raid. So I guess the note is assigned, so you have Aura Mastery actually works on this boss, so make sure to use it correctly. It's usually with the stomps, and it's just to reduce the healing required, save mana for the moments where you actually need to use more like healing CDs instead. But yeah, the tanks shouldn't be taking that much damage. You just have the beacon on the ad tank. Heal as much as you can with Holy Radiance if you can find the good targets, but you also, like what I like to do on this boss is every Holy Shock should be going into someone who's standing alone. You shouldn't be casting Holy Radiance and then Holy Shock in the same target, because if you're Holy Radiance in someone, then you probably have a good value target that you found. So Holy Shocks, which is a single target heal, should go on someone you won't be healing with Holy Radiance for free, so to say. But that's also sometimes like you don't have a good target or you're not paying attention correctly. So, but that's something I found out that you can get a good value because you don't overheal with Holy Radiance, even on the Holy Shock target. I'm trying to find if there's anything special about this boss, but it just heal the damage that needs to be healed. It should be every concussive stomp, and whenever you get high stacks of volcano. When it comes to CDs, like I use my Divine Plea Kong Pot, just make sure to use it between stomps, so you don't use it when a stomp happens, or use it when the magma flows happen, so you have to move. Yeah, and for us in this last phase, it's usually when we have CDs from the Residue Druid, so I have already used my Divine Favor in the middle of the fight where it might have been spicy, but this last phase should not be an issue if you have some strong CD. He dies very fast here. The only pain point here is that if he does a stomp before he phases, then he does a stomp instantly almost into the face, so you can drop very low from the stomps. So that's good to have an assigned CD rolling, either something like AM, but also like a healing CD from the rest of the druid or priest. But yeah, this fight is all about the driver not getting volcano stacks up and healing, just efficient healing. So the next boss we do is Alysrazor, however you pronounce that. Okay, this is an interesting pull. I guess this is how we do it in the speedrun, that we come from Rhyolith and it's pre-pulled, so everyone is slow here, but this shouldn't be normal scenario. This boss is also yet again another fight where you don't have good Holy Radiance value, and this fight is also a lot about tank healing. You have 2 tanks that will be taking a lot of damage, also doing a lot of damage. I feel like the DK is doing a lot of healing with the damage buff it gets, so the DKs are definitely easier to heal. The thing about this fight is that there's a lot of bad spots of standing. You see these worms, these are the main killer of people. Worms and these small bushfires. But with the worms you have safe spots. So as a healer you can see we're all standing right between 2 of them to the north. Because we know the tanks will be killing them off first, since that's how the tanks, that's basically how you do the fight. The tanks are killing the worms, so you stand between 2 of them, so you don't have to move, and you just spam heal the tanks basically. Another important thing here is that the casters that are being taken care of by the DPS, they sometimes get a cast through, and it's important to dispel the dot that people get from it. It's the main damage, and then one of the things that can kill people if you don't have a healer in range. But it's all about don't die to the mechanics that are avoidable, either the bushfires or the worms, or also the meteor can kill you if you are standing in the wrong spot, of course. Tanks get a debuff that they need to drop below 50%. You need to be careful there. Sometimes you don't want to instantly drop it. Sometimes the tank is like maybe killing their bird right like 5 seconds later, so you just spam heal the tank, and then after the bird is dead, then you can let it expire or let him drop to 50% and remove the debuff. Sometimes you might have to get it early, and then you basically have to feel it out. Like, is it gonna be worth it for me to drop this buff, or is it something I'm gonna heal through the entire time? We are quite practiced. We have a lot of practice with the debuff never dropping, because the debuff was bugged the first 2 PTR sessions. So we basically play this boss with just permanent debuffs. But if you can drop it, it's a lot less straining on the healers and might prevent tanks from dying when there is like too much damage in a short period of time. But yeah, mostly tank healing here. I know healers or like people have been taking the molten feathers from the ground when the older range have gotten there, and this at the third time it's there is feathers. You can grab some feathers if you want to have some movement speed and be able to cast while moving. But I just never took them, and I just played without them just to know how I would play without them. But this is, you see to the right here, there's a lot of feathers to pick up. There's no one taking them, so you can just grab a feather usually at the 3rd time they spawn. And you have an easier time healing and moving. But yeah, these 3 times it's just all the same. Heal the tanks, stand in the safe spot here. Oh yeah, I don't know if I said it, but yeah, the safe spot is here when you are the 1st and 3rd set of hashlings, and then to the right a bit when you are in the 2nd set. The worms move a bit, they rotate a bit, so they're not exactly the same position. A good thing to know here is that when you face Alysrazor here is that after this you're gonna have 0 mana issues. Like you're gonna be attacking the boss with the downs and sorry, the downs and holy shock. Actually, I can pause here for a bit, and you get full mana. So here I should have spent way more mana, like more flash of lights for more fast heals, inefficient heals. But as I said, it doesn't really matter because you will be getting full mana. But what I do here when we get the tornado in middle is that I always bubble it. Because I bubble it so I'm able to heal people that might be taking damage. So I wait for them to go out and I bubble. I spam heal people here for a while. I keep track of my bubble CD. Usually this one, when you find your position and you have some practice on it, you will almost always know how the tornadoes will go. But I usually bubble when I go out, and then I know this will pass me, then I can start moving. And what you want to do here is just always run behind one that has passed you on your sides. This is the fail-safe way of avoiding the tornadoes. Instead of going back and forth and sometimes getting 2 of them overlapping, just always run behind one and then start going in a circle basically. I do believe this is one of our PTR from not the start of our PTR sessions, so this is how we do it. We usually kill the boss before the actual Blazing Buffet starts. So this is kind of boring for me personally, like you don't get to do any kind of healing. But my note will be like correct for what most skills will have, that they will have the damage going out and perhaps a second phase even. That it just you will have full mana going into that phase, so just spam Holy Radiance. Sometimes even if you're holy power capped, you still wanna spam Holy Radiance during the damage. I'm gonna see, do I have a full transition maybe? Let's see. I can show that real quick. Okay, this is one also why, I guess that's why we are having full transitions. Yeah, so here you can see we are not killing the boss. You can see my mana is going up and up and up. So we just start with our assigned CDs. There's always MZs for everything. We have spread out the AMs. The very last one is usually the hard one. But here, just pop every CD you have, spam Holy Radiance. You can see even though I'm Holy Power capped, I'm spamming Holy Radiance because your mana is not an issue. You might wanna do cast a Light of Dawn sometimes, just to heal a tank. But you should have no mana issues almost here. And just doing more Holy Radiance and capping your Holy Power is just more HPS. It's very important just to keep everyone alive. But that's basically that, and then you do it all over again. So the fourth boss we do is Shannox, after we've done Alysrazor. And we do it in Baleroc's room actually, because that's where he spawns and that's where we trigger the Shannox spawn. This is a fight where you don't have basically any damage on the raid. Like the damage from the spear is so far away, so it doesn't do any damage on the raid. So this is all about targeting the correct either tanks, or if people are taking single target damage from either tanking the dog or like when they soak in the immolation trap, or other things that can go wrong. I have made an insane weak aura for the frenzy on rage phase, so it tracks both the duration of the feeding frenzy, who is targeting. It's also going to be tracking the whenever it's ice trapped. So this is a very good weak aura for this boss where you want to know all about just rage phase. That's the entire mechanic for the raid. Let's see, there we go. So yeah, you have assigned tank healers to the tank that's tanking the dog, and then you have people just healing the main tank. As a paladin, as you can see there, these flame traps, immolation traps on the ground are very bad in case you get it on a dog that you want to be trapping at some point, because they become immune to traps for a while after eating a trap. So what you can do is simply use divine protection and soak. You won't die, and there's no other damage to be scared of, so there's no danger in doing that. And in melee you should have the DK soaking it with AMS rather. And as many paladins as possible in the raid group, so you can bop the jumps, not the feeding frenzy, but what is it called? Yeah, you want to have as many paladins as possible, so you can bop off the phase rage. We ended up bringing 4 paladins here, and it's usually enough for us. You can sometimes break it out with your assigned player. And yeah, you wanna bring as many paladins as you can, because bop is very powerful breaking up people from the phase rage. This guy was a mage, so he just ice blocked it. You need to make sure so you waste your bops on someone who could either bubble it or block it. But it's very powerful. You don't need to have the assigned player to break them out all the time. But yeah, the most dangerous part about Shannox is if you are not controlling the dogs properly. Like either if the Shannox is getting a lot of stacks from on the tank, or if Rage Phase is not being trapped and resetting the stacks. So you should always be having your boot saved in case you need to kite. And you need to always be careful, look around where your next trap could possibly be. Like here we are marking it with world markers. And you can see that my weak card here is showing very easily that it's gonna be, the buff is gonna be gone after the ice trap, so you don't need to worry about moving away. But usually you need to move away a bit from the dog and be ready to kite. But as a paladin here, it's all about keeping the tanks alive. If the tanks die, it's incredibly bad, because tanks dying and the boss being untauntable means that the boss will just go around and kill everyone. So you need to be very, very good with healing the tank, especially when the boss gains stacks, which it doesn't have right now, so it should be very easy to heal. Other than that, there is not that much. I have a note for this for the magma flares, but people shouldn't really be taking damage from them, so there's no real use of notes here. And this is also a weaker have that just shows you when I'm fixated. Other than that, heal tanks win. So the 5th boss is Baleroc. Probably the most interesting fight as a healer. With getting the buff and managing stacks and keeps the tanks alive. So what we do is we have 2 healing teams. One healing team is 2 paladins, 1 shaman, and then it's me, Druid and priest. We figured that the priest and paladin are the 2 strongest healers. Druid and shaman is not quite as strong, so we split them up. So the first thing you should always have, like every raid should have, a shadow priest, and you should be having a shadow priest solo soak one of the orbs every now and then. Like I think it's every second one or every third one, but definitely starting out with it. So what we do here is that basically every paladin is spam healing the priest, even though it's we have assigned it so that me and the druid and the priest are the ones starting to stack up. Even the guys from the tank healing group is stacking up right now. They can usually greed it a bit and get a lot of stacks. But from then on forward, then we alternate every Charlatan spawn. I know some guilds do you do 2 stack phases and then 2 tank healing phases, but this is just what we did from the very first day, so we didn't change it, we didn't look at what other people did. This worked for us, so this is how we did it. The note will be reflecting that this is how we do it, and you can do the same note. But yeah, so very important here is to get a lot of globals in on the priest when he's high stacks, because you, as you might know, you gain more vital spark stacks, which means more healing done. The more every 5 stacks is 1 more stack per heal on the Shadow Priest. So here I'm getting 4 stacks per heal on him, and then at the end it's gonna be 5 stacks per heal. So Holy Light, you could probably be spamming Flash of Light, you do have the mana for it, but at the end here I usually like to have instance casting, like you have Holy Shock, you have I used 1 Holy Power Vogue for example into a Holy Shock again, so I just press my instance, so you can get around, I guess 50 plus is good for a first one. I think it was 63 here before I started healing the tank. So that's basically the stacking up phase, that you wanna be healing the guy with the most stacks. What we do also when I'm tank healing right now, so now I'm just fully focused on healing the tank, keeping the Vital Flame stack up so I can actually do decent healing to the tank. I'm gonna go further into that later on in the fight, but those are the 2 basic, like stack up phase and then heal tank phase. When you're also healing, now it's my turn to stack up. So what I do here, I usually, either if I find the guy with the lowest amount of stacks, or someone in this case that's out of range, just beacon him, and you don't need to keep the beacon on a tank. You should totally rely on the other group to be able to heal. Here as well you see that this guy has less stacks, so you just beacon him and then you heal the other guy. Because when you are healing, when you're stacking up, it's your responsibility to keep the stackers alive. You shouldn't be trying to get some healing on the tanks. Sadly now I'm healing the tanks while the Shadow Priest is stacking up, so I'm gonna not be getting a lot of stacks. But yeah, so important here, you can see Decimation Blade. That's the big tank when you need a lot of tank healing. So what I did here, or what you should always do, is that you should be timing your Vital Flame refresh. Like when you have a stack and you lose it, then you need to cast a heal on one of the 2 tanks to get it running again. So you will always have downtime of 1 global at least. So try to time that with the start of a Decimation Blade. So you have, for the entire Decimation Blade, you have a fresh stack, so you never lose that 1 global that might kill the tank sometimes. And during Decimation Blade you shouldn't be afraid to just spam into the tank with all the heals you have. So that's a min-max you can do, so you don't get unlucky and get a drop of the stack in the middle of this Decimation Blade, and the 1 heal you do is not empowered, and then yeah, the tank just drops. Keep stacking, it's gonna be way slower after the first one until you can get another Shadow Priest soak. It's just almost basically about keeping them alive. The stacking at this point doesn't really make that huge of a difference. And yeah, believe in your fellow healers that they are gonna keep up the tanks. If you get countdown, obviously you have to bring the countdowns together, but if the other guy has torment and you are countdown, there's no way to avoid the torment. You are gonna be tormented and you're gonna be doing half healing. So that's something you need to communicate with your healer friends, that you have torment, if they don't see it of course. So that is something that's kinda annoying. RNG, like if you get multiple healers with it, it can be a very annoying fight. But yeah, you have to play through it, use more CDs. What else can I say? It's basically just the stacking up phase into the tank healing phase. We use a off tank that's taking some of the Decimation Blades, which makes it very easy because he doesn't have the full amount of stacks, so there's less healing needed because they take a certain, I think 250k damage. But that's more tank focused, more raid strategy focused. Some people have I think used Shard of Woe on this fight, But I still don't think it's worth it. Like, you can get the spirit value you gain, you can heal differently and spend that mana in a better way. Or if you're even like going it's definitely better to use the Fall of Mortality Darkmoon card combo. The Shard of Woe is really nice to get the stacks up going when you don't have Bloodlust, for example. But usually the stacks are not the issue here. It's more mechanics that goes wrong, or people dying, and it's going debuff spreading as well. It can be an issue, but you should all have like the basic strat down. Sometimes you might feel like, oh, the boss is almost dying, I don't need any more stacks, but it's still very important to keep alive the soakers. Like, if they die and then the thing starts exploding because no one else is close, it's a wipe. So you can't make it safer on the tanks by not healing the marks. You still have to keep doing your job if you're soaking, or if you're stacking up, or if you are healing the tanks. So the penultimate boss, aka Majordomo Staghelm, is probably one of the most boring fights, since it's so long and it's so monotone. Like, yet this is the six out of 6 bosses that you are not stacked up, and you need just single target heal. Yeah, so I guess what can I say about this fight? It's just you're healing the main tank. In the strat we do it, at least. I don't know if there's other strats where you get different kind of things, but our strat is that you spend most of the time with the Majordomo in cat form, with the leaps, and you only basically swap to Scorpion, and you don't even take the frontal, because you don't want people to lose the buff. So yeah, we spread out, only tank damage happening, very boring. What can I say though? Yeah, so about the leaps is that you can avoid resetting your power or your buff by moving while it's sleeping, but you have to have some kind of distance from the boss, and you might even need a movement speed buff like Divine Protection. But then again, we also notice, like, it doesn't really matter if I lose the healing buff at this point. Like, the healing there's no need to heal, and we lost uptime on the boss if I was too far away. So I just disregarded the buff and just took the hit instead of losing uptime. So what you can do, so here the first transition, or the first mechanic from the boss, is the Searing Seeds. You are able to bubble it, so while you're stunned you can't bubble, but if you spam your bubble out of the stun, you will be immune to the application and nothing will happen. You will not explode, you will not get the debuff. That's also what our DKs are doing with the AMS. But if you're too slow with the bubble, or have some other issue, then you might explode on the entire raid and they will all lose their damage buff, which is incredibly bad. So you have to decide for yourself if that's something you want to do. The debuff is very easy to manage as a Holy Paladin. Yeah, just you run out, you take the hit to your buff for a short while and back at it. As you can see, there's nothing happening in the boss fight. What I'm doing even is that I have beacon on the tank, but I'm still single targeting the tank, because your beacon heals will not be giving you eliminated healing. So your mastery healing, the absorb shield. So what I do is just holy light, divine light spam on the main tank, so he gets the shield whenever it's not healing completely. Yeah, if you can see the note, like, we have nothing in the note except for the burning orb. So we do one phase where we have all the orbs spawn, and that is soaked by our off tank, aka the Feral Druid in this case. And we have a set rotation for his stacks. You can see here we're spawning the orbs, moving the entire red away, and the Feral Druid is the one that's gonna be soaking them most of the time once we have gotten the raid into the position. Currently it's like he's way lower stack than he usually is, so could even hold off these CDs, but the CDs are covering his entire soak, so there's really no point to save it either. Yeah, resistance reduces damage taken, so Aura Monster is very good, Sack is very good. You don't lose your power or your buff from Sack damage taken, so just Sack and heal. I don't even bubble it, but you can bubble and Sack as well for extra safety. I like to save bubble for either the last set of seeds that I will get, or if the boss jumps on me I can bubble and keep my stack while moving out from the fire AoE. This is probably the most challenging part, is when you have to heal off tank, but it's still very monotone, very easy. As long as you have your CDs running, he shouldn't die, and you have every healer has the healing buff as well, so you're doing a lot of healing to him between the ticks. Yeah, stack up again. The boss is still 40%, so still a long way to go, but there's nothing new happening. As you can see here, we always spread out before the frontal. We don't want to lose our buff. Keep healing the tank like there's nothing else happening. Then we stack up again. This is when it will transform and stun you and put in seeds. See, I'm spamming bubble here, and I don't get the debuff. Me and the DKs avoids getting the debuff. Just makes it easier that you don't have to spread out and maybe grief some other player. But yeah, as the healer, you should be playing for your DPS players. Like if anyone has to move from something, it should be you first of all. DPS should just be pumping the boss, just reducing the boss kill time. But yeah, nothing else is happening. Oh, there is also, if you're standing where I am standing, there's an invisible wall, so be careful of that. Like I think if you go here, for example, you will not be in line of sight of these guys. It's just very specific to this one spot. Spam heal the tank and it should be dead. I don't think we stack up again. We usually stack up 6 or 7 buffs on the boss. Do some healing. And it's dead. Yeah, there's nothing to think about. So the last boss, and the most important boss, probably the one most people struggle on, is Ragnaros. Yet another boss where you are spread out a lot of the time, but you actually do have some good Holy Radiance moments in the fight where you are stacked up. I'm not going to go through the boss mechanics or whatever, it's just what I'm thinking about in the moment when I'm watching this. Is just here it's all about the tank healing. We do proc the traps here, so very important to top people here, because you have random damage coming out from the knockback in melee, but also the Wrath of Ragnaros, that is the ranged random knocks. A combination of trap and Wrath of Ragnaros knock will kill someone. So you need to, first of all, you need to be proccing your traps in a specific time, so you have CD on Wrath of Ragnaros, but also be very good at topping people after they have taken a damage, so that Magma Trap can be procced safely. I guess I should be talking a bit about my CD usage. Like, this is such a long fight, so you can get away with using your wings at like quite weird moments. Like, I start out here, the very first damage event we have, I use my wings because I know it will be back for when I want it, which is in the intermission. The intermission is definitely the most scary moment of the fight, where everyone is spread out, so again, no Holy Radiance value, and there's a lot of damage going out that you need to heal between the lava balls going out. But yeah, let's start with phase 1. It's just tank healing, topping people after Ragnaros, topping people after Magma Trap. Be sure that you are not yourself standing in a way that you can get knocked into the traps and make them go off while you had a debuff, for example. It would be basically a raid wipe, I guess. People don't have enough HP to survive that. Notes are monster assignments and also aim set assignments for the melee group that's on the left side. Intermission. As a paladin, you're probably assigned to stunning an ad because your Hammer of Justice is the longest stun in the game that you can try stun. So I'm stunning my ad. I'm waiting for that to happen before I do anything. But then after I've stunned my ad, it just centralize yourself in a position where you can reach people. And here's when you cannot have anyone die. So I pop my CDs here, both Wings and Divine Favor, and it's single target healing. Sometimes you can find good targets of these melee groups stacking up on some ad. But also you should probably have either a Resto Druid popping 3 and Trank, or if you have a Shaman, you need to be more wary of the damage coming in. During this here you have Molten Seeds going out. They are easier to heal, since you're usually all stacked up. We do it a bit differently from what I've seen from other guilds. We do a loose spread, so a bit more to heal sometimes, but we also kill them very fast. You need to be careful here, so if you are a guild that have the elementals live for a bit longer, you might wanna be pre-running a bit, so before they even spawn you are further away from the raid, so you can heal without having to move away from the elementals. But yeah, the AoE damage should be... no one should die to the AoE damage, and the healing, you shouldn't be having any issues getting people topped while they're stacked with Holy Radiance. So that's why I'm not using my Wings or anything here. After the Sons or the elementals have been killed, it's the Dance. Dance like never before is don't take damage. Be ready to heal people who take damage. Then we do Pocket Trap while we're all stacked, so that's usually how it goes for us, that we have a moment of peace or no damage taken after the dance, that we pop Pocket Trap and heal people up while they're stacked. Yeah. Elementals, after AoE damage, try to top people in case they take some melee hits from the elementals, but it was never an issue for us really. And back to dancing. We are gonna be proccing another trap here after this, so we're stacking up again. Be ready to Holy Radiance. Shouldn't be an issue. Yeah, use your Divine Protection liberally. Like you don't really need the movement speed at this point. Having movement speed is actually quite bad when you're running away from the Molten Seeds, since you might be getting way too far ahead and just making extra damage on the raid. Sometimes the Molten Seeds are weirdly timed, so you need to be careful so you don't run ahead of the group. Another AoE damage, just heal it. As you can see, I haven't used my Wings. I use Wings here because this is when you are going to be facing it. And then I'm going to be using my Divine Favor later on in the stack, in the intermission. I think this is was one-off where I used my Wings here, but you should be able to save your Wings after you have stunned again and use your Wings in the intermission. So that was probably a mistake by me by using it here in this pull. Because this time around, not only are you getting a lot of raid damage from the lava bolts, but you're also having to heal a tank that's tanking both of the big ones. That they are very dangerous. So the tank usually always have a CD running, either Sack or Iceman Fortitude in this case, or Pinsam. I like to save, this is one of the moments where you can use your bubble in case you get the blaze debuff and you place the blazes below you, because you can totally just remove that debuff and it does nothing. And if you get that and you wanna bubble it, you just send your sack into the tank and just tell the tank, oh, I bubbled early, so the sack is coming out now instead. Because if you sack without bubbling or sack without paying attention to your own health, it's very dangerous because you can take damage from the lava bolts and of course the tank damage, which can be lethal. So you have to be paying attention to your own health if you ever use sack here when you don't have bubble available. But yeah, the big guys die. We kill the last lava elemental and another long phase of repeated engulfing flames and nothing happening for a while here. Here all you need to be careful here is just pre-position yourself so you don't have you don't make stuff harder for you than they should be. Like, don't stand where, for example, that blazes are. You also need to be careful here that all these pets that are standing next to me, they can spawn, like the meteor can spawn on the pets. So you need to be careful and look for the animation of the meteor spawning so you don't get one shot either or knocked into somewhere where you will be one shot. But yeah, if your guild is performing decently here, they shouldn't be taking damage. Like, the only damage you should be taking here is tank damage, basically. We do proc the last trap we have here, though after the very first engulfing we proc the trap, so heal it up, but it's, as I said, you should not be taking any other damage, so it's slow heal up. There's no rush to get people topped. Also, something on this boss is that you have a very easy time to regen your mana. Like I was sometimes completely going into this intermission or like this phase. I don't know if this is phase 3 or what it is, and I was able to get the full mana just because you don't have a lot of things to heal that are like, you don't need to consume your mana with holy radiances or inefficient heals like flash of light. It's all very even damage. So yeah, you should be going into the last phase with full mana and preferably with a potion still ready to use. Was there anything else I should talk about in those phases? No, just a lot of single target healing. Yeah, phase 4. It's not that hard healing wise. It's can definitely get out of control with the blazes, and if people are not respecting their superheated stacks, not refreshing them. That was something we noticed that quite early, that you need every DPS need to be aware of that. If they have high stacks, they are gonna be a liability not only for themselves but also like the healing they are taking is healing that we might kill someone else, like might kill someone who's in Dread Flame or might even kill a tank, and tank dying is awfully really bad, so to say. But the biggest pain points are whenever you are moving. Like if you're moving from Breath of Frost, or if the tank is having to move and kite the boss, that's somewhere we have to pay attention. Like your tank will be running out of range of you, and you need to be following him. You need to go out of the Breath of Frost and healing the tank sometimes. So that's something very important for the healer. And that whenever, if you have a Breath of Frost spawning away from the current one and you have to run with the entire way there, that's also like somewhere when you will be having a lot of AoE damage taking on the raid, even if they don't get Dread Flame on them. Together with Dread Flame, it's like, it's very hard to heal, so people need to be careful about that, and you need to be ready with CDs and have the mana to spend in those moments, like conserving your mana when you don't need it, and then having the ability to just pump out a lot of healing, while it might not be the most efficient, but it will be keeping people alive. Like here, for example, it's gonna be meteor into a Breath of Frost, and I don't see the next one. Where is the Breath of Frost? Yeah, oh yeah, it was in the trap, so that's... You run far here, so... Divine Protection, of course, to reduce damage taken on yourself. AM if you have it. Wasn't up yet for me. But there you see that was where someone died, for example. But yeah, phase 4 is all about raid performing, like raid strat being followed, with how you're kiting the meteors, how you're killing the meteors, and also the tanks kiting with the roots and yeah, the thing they do when they bounce the boss back and forth. Dread Flame has hit some people here, so you need to be very on healing them. But this boss is harder than what you can talk about, I guess. It's like the things you do as a healer is very straightforward. You have to keep the tank alive, so you have to always be keeping his position and your own position in mind. Like when people are in a breath and they're low health, usually they are not a high priority healing target. You should always prioritize the guys that are still outside with high stacks. That's why you see on my raid frames, whenever someone is in the breath, they have a blue frame, meaning they have less priority in my mind. The only time they would be dying in a breath is if there's Dread Flame. But yeah, keep the tank alive, keep your mana. Mana management is key here, of course. You cannot be running and not having enough healing for like something obvious like the tank. But it's all about keeping your super stacks low here to make it a lot easier for the tank for the healers in our case. Yeah, and while you have the meters out, it's very important to communicate as well. People might not be paying attention enough that, like as a healer, I like to call that healer, meter and healer, like kiting, healer kiting, for example. When you are in that moment where you have to be kiting the meter instead of just knocking it, so people know that they can't be greeding their stacks, and the other healers know that okay, we might need more healing on the tank. Yeah, I feel like this guide was a lot less specific than the ICC one, but I think it's the nature of the raid that everything is so determined already. Like the strats are so important to follow that they become very important to execute correctly. You can't really deviate from the strats. So as I said, don't take this as a boss strat guide. This is more like what I do. So I should definitely recommend you to watch a video or read a guide about the bosses, and then perhaps take in what I said here, because the things I said there are you're missing a lot of nuances to the entire fight. These are very specific to the Paladin. If you have any more questions, I would say everything would be on my Discord. Either if it's in my FAQ, where I list a lot of things that people ask quite often, but also if you have like specific questions about specific things, there's no reason to not ask it in my Discord in the normal chat. And if you want a UI, if you want a MRT notes or anything else like that, it's also on my Discord. It will require a Twitch sub to get access to them, and also access to another chat. But yeah, I think that was it.